Month, we like to check in with Utah Business Magazine to see what's happening around the state. We have Catherine Bennett here, the executive editor of Utah Business. And let's start right off. This is the cover issue. Most influential women, 20 leaders shaping Utah.
Yes, Utah produced a really incredible group this year. It's really incredible to see who bubbles up from our community that people are noticing. And we had some stellar individuals. We have Becky Edwards, who ran for office. This cover is Lorena Rifo Jensen, who works for the in economic development and helped through COVID. She's helped through some really incredible. That picture is just stunning.
It really
like she
is.
looks incredibly distinguished.
Yeah.
She kind of represented most influential women really, really well for us. So,
okay.
but some incredible lawyers. Women even that have taken single moms into their homes and just the gamut. It just the spectrum of things that these women have done is incredible. Yeah. So I encourage.
And you can dig into that in the magazine.
Absolutely.
Okay, and we want to look at some of the stories you're covering. Very interesting. You look into a company called Zion Guru. They're impacted by tariffs and a fall off of foreign visitors to places such as Zion National Park.
Yes, we saw all these compounding challenges that were happening just in the political climate. We saw national park layoffs. We saw some trends that maybe international travelers wouldn't come, or maybe not going to come as often as they have. We saw tariffs, and we thought, man, how are people in the outdoor industry dealing with all of this? Which is why we caught up with two companies near Zion, Soul Gear and Zion Guru. And they told us, they're seeing great, the numbers are still great. They're getting fully booked out for the tours and other activities that they do. But they're seeing more domestic involvement.
Instead of the foreign.
Yes,
Yeah.
and so it's kind of balancing out. But the problem is, even though their revenue's going up, the tariffs are kind of just removing it. They're growing, but the tariffs are just going to eat that profit up when that happens.
So this kind of business, how do tariffs affect it?
Yes, so they buy gear to include in their activities. They actually sell outdoor equipment at their locations as well. So one of them actually buys shoes from Italy. And the problem is that he was like, well, I would love to make these shoes here, but there are no shoe manufacturers in the U.S., so I'm kind of destined to fail, even though we need these products to make this business work.
And it takes so much time to convert over to domestic.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right, we're going to talk about the Wasatch Food Co-op now, and how are they helping to lower grocery prices for folks that really need the help? Yes,
the way that a co-op works is that people buy in, invest just like you would a business, and it's $300. You become a member, a lifelong member of this co-op, and you can bring your own goods and sell them, but there's no. Unlike a grocery store, it doesn't need to be this margin over top of the products that you buy. People are making their own yogurt and bringing honey, and so the markup just isn't as high. And so you can actually get local goods at a fairly good price. And now they have 1,400 members finally. It's actually been a long process. The co-op started in 2009, and just recently they have enough funding to have a physical permanent location that they're working on.
Now, do they show up like at farmers markets that we see here? How does that work?
We looked at, they're similar to a farmer's market, but we were really looking at two different food systems. There's the co-op model, and then obviously we have our wonderful farmers markets here. There's 60 of them in the state. And since the 90s, they've been growing and growing. And so we're actually looking at farmers markets as a really interesting, like they're kind of the OG business incubator. They're a way that these businesses are, coming in person and getting direct feedback from their customers and deciding is this a viable thing. And there's one, Salsa del Diablo, which if you go to the farmers market, you'll notice them, but they've really scaled. They're at Harmon's now, but they started at a farmer's market. And there's a lot of stories like that.
Yeah, very interesting. Got a couple more we want to do quickly here. Inland Port Authority down in the Cedar City area, creating jobs, and this is pretty fascinating.
Yes, the economic development that's happening down there because of the Inland Port Authority is actually quite substantial. in that area, it's a great place for the Union Pacific Railroad, and has been. There's actually a ghost town there that was a port for the train. But
and this is the port right here.
So, and this is,
yeah.
this is the new BZI Innovation Park, but it's right next to the railroad. And the problem is that the railroad seemed somewhat inaccessible to businesses because there was no transloading operation, which means how do the goods on the train get onto a truck? Well, there needs to be a transfer from
and that's the transloading.
Yes,
yeah.
that's transloading, and that's what the Inland Port Authority helps with. So we now have this innovation park that's helping more companies have that transloading operation, and it's actually kind of the snowball effect where the economy down there is booming. And actually, BZI is a steel company that's been really influential in that area. And they're growing like crazy. They're part of our recent Fast 50 fastest growing companies in Utah.
How many jobs would you say?
I think it's to be determined because they're inviting, BZI owns 820 acres right there, and they're inviting companies to come and participate in that area to have access to that railroad and be more efficient that way.
Okay, yeah. And finally here, Blue Unicorn, a family company makes the Blue Unicorn protein bars, which taste like candy.
They really do. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure there's people who would disagree. I think they taste great for a protein bar and for how much protein is in there. But we've seen Blue Unicorn around and had to get just their story there. It's so fun to go out and see them.
Okay, what's the alpaca?
Oh yeah, we got to talk about the alpaca. As you can see, their branding is quite unique. It's very memorable, and it was fun to learn that they actually have alpacas as a family and take care of these alpacas, and they kind of, because you're like Blue Unicorn, but there's an alpaca mascot. How does this all come together?
Yeah.
But that picture of the alpaca, they put a little unicorn on his head. So just a really fun family business that's growing.
And those protein bars are in Whole Foods, right?
They're at Good Earth. That was their big
Earth.
break. Yeah, but they're continuing to get traction at other stores as well.
All right. Okay. Great stuff. Thank you very much. You guys are always digging up those business stories.
We'll keep doing it.
Yeah.
We'll keep doing it.
Thanks,
Sean.
Catherine, for being with us. All right.